Hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you so much for joining us today on our Instagram Live. I am so excited to be hosting today's conversation. Holiday plus finances do not have to equal stress. This holiday season for some, is the most wonderful time of the year. And for others, like me, it can be a little bit stressful. And for a lot of us, it's kind of a mixture of both. So today's conversation will speak to that and hopefully leave you with some tips and ideas for keeping your mental health prioritized and your finances in check, as finances can be a main cause of stress during this time of year. Healthy Women has been exploring this relationship between financial health and physical health and how the two are ever connected. And I've always felt there was such a strong correlation. And I'm excited to be bringing the conversation to our awesome audience. To help us talk this through and the financial side of holiday stress, I am so delighted to introduce you to Stacey Francis, who is the Savvy Ladies founder, and now she serves as the board chair. And Savvy Ladies' mission is to empower women to take control of their finances by providing a network of support and guidance. Thank you so much, Stacey, for being with us today.
Beth, I am so excited to be here talking about money and the holidays, and most importantly, how to take the stress out of it, how to get ourselves on the right financial track to start 2022 in the best position we could possibly be for happiness and for long-term success.
Oh my gosh, music to my ears. And
yes,
I think this conversation is just as much for me as it is for our whole audience. So let's get started. I am so eager to hear your advice and guidance. So one of the questions we have is, while women have been considered the chief medical officers of our families, now we're in the role of not only the chief medical officers, but the chief financial officers as well. How has this role impacted our lives?
You know, it's interesting because more and more women are really the chief financial officers of their family. In fact, 40% of families have breadwinning women, meaning women that make more than their spouses. And in most of those cases, it's her as the sole breadwinner, producing for her entire family. And while that's a great position to be in, realistically, it creates a lot more stress. And how does that show up? Well, that shows up at what we've seen as the great migration out of jobs because of burnout, because of stress. We have the highest number of women that we have seen in decades who are considering stepping out of their career and taking a break because it's just far too much. So it's a big problem. And I know that you talk about a lot of financial stress and how that shows up as well.
No, we absolutely do. And what we're trying to do is make sure that women kind of prioritize their health. And we're allowing women to, like, it's okay to hit the pause button, and it's okay to put yourself on that A list. And my team is probably shaking their heads because I'm saying this all the time, that the importance of taking care of your own health and being able to schedule a workout and being able to schedule just time to go to a coffee shop and sit and have a cup of coffee and read a book, or just sit there and do nothing. It's okay, because we do need that. And it helps us with our day to day. But I want to get back to finances. And one of the other questions that I have for you is regarding cash flow and debt and how to manage this. What tips or resources do you recommend for managing cash flow and debt?
You know, cash flow and debt, to be honest, they're like the building blocks of a secure financial future. And there are quite a few tools that can make this a whole lot easier. Mint.com is one of them, Personal Capital. There's a few others. And what you can do is you can go on that website and link your accounts. And what it does is it aggregates your entire financial life so that you can see all your assets, you can see all your liabilities, mortgage, credit cards. And the other piece that's beautiful is that you can connect it to your credit cards, and it's going to take all of your spending. It will actually go back typically 3 months from that day that you connect it, and it's going to categorize all of that for you so that you have for many people, the first time, a real clear picture about where you are financially, your assets, your liabilities, and how much you're spending. And what a great way to enter 2022, knowing that information.
I love that. And I'm such a visual person. So seeing that in front of me would be so helpful, right? To just kind of get those and to see the categories where I'm spending the most or not spending, or where I'm doing it very well. So I love that. Thank you for that. Stacey, we also know that financial stress can impact our overall health. What are 3 things our viewers can do to keep their finances in check during this holiday season?
That's a great question. To get through the holiday season, it can be very difficult. It's almost like there's Godiva chocolates on your desk at all times, and you're just constantly trying to not. Exactly, trying not to reach one. If we're going to overspend, it's going to be now. It's going to be now, and so one of the things that you can do is to use a debit card. That's one way. Another way is to try and use cash as much as possible. Those are 2 tools that help us make a much more conscious decision about our spending. When we put down our credit card, the actual act of spending money is disassociated with us. So we don't feel like we're spending money, not in the same way of putting cash down. So that's a quick tip. Another second piece is to put together plans for creating an emergency fund. Much of the stress that we have around money is those unexpected expenses that come up that we really have no control over. And it leaves us in sometimes a very vulnerable position of having to dip into using credit cards or, God forbid, even dip into longer term savings. Some of the women that come to Savvy Ladies have had to raid their retirement accounts. And that all could have been relieved if they had put together an emergency fund. And that's about 6 months of your spending. That can be a big number. So start with 2 and then work to 3. And hopefully over time, over 2022, you can put that in place. That's a really important piece. And the third thing, so much of the stress and anxiety that comes from money is not having a plan, not having a plan. And so using these tools that we talked about, whether it's Personal Capital and Mint.com, to just see where you're at. Don't make any judgments. That's where you're at with your finances, with your spending, your savings, and make goals, tangible goals for how much you want to save for next year or how much you want to pay down in debt and credit card debt. And put that on that sticky and have it on your mirror next to where you're brushing your teeth every single morning to remind you. So those are 3 really easy tips that can make it a whole lot less stressful.
I love those tips. So easy to do and implement. So thank you for that, Stacey. So let's talk about long-term. What 2 things should we keep in mind as we plan for 2022 and beyond? It seems before we know it that tax day is going to be here.
Yes, tax day. Well, often what happens in the beginning of the year for a lot of individuals are bonuses. And so one of the best things you can do to put yourself on long-term financial success is to take that bonus, and if you have any pay increase, to number 1, give your savings an increase first. So I want everybody to close their eyes and think back to our first job. Think about that paycheck and how much money you made. And what's interesting is I'm sure for almost every person here today, that number of how much we made was a lot less than what we make today. But we managed and we paid our bills even as hard as it was. And what's happened along the way is that as our paychecks have gone up, our standard of living and our spending has gone up. And so I'm asking everyone to set a reset, a pause, and learn to live with less, because guess what? We did it. What did you spend during 2020? During the lockdown? Probably not a lot. So we can do it, Beth.
Yeah.
We just need to empower ourselves to believe that we can, even though the world is opening up to us.
Mm-hmm. That's such great advice. Thank you. And you're absolutely right. I was thinking about that like during the pandemic, no
Right?
manicures, like you put off,
Yeah,
even the hair and just little things that you used to treat yourself to, you were able to push off and really didn't miss too much. So
exactly.
I think that's really great advice. Thank you for that. And the idea of the bonuses, so you answered one of my questions I had, because, the bonus question is important, and how we can set ourselves up for better success in the new year is awesome. So how can we approach, this is a holiday question. So how do we approach the conversation about no gifts,
Oh,
the no gift rule with friends and family, to help us with our personal finances?
yeah. This is a tough one. And I feel like there's um, so much pressure, but we actually did this with my brother this year. So we're going to do gifts for the kids,
Right.
but adults are not going to be buying for each other. And can I tell you how relieved they
Yeah.
were? You know,
I'm
everybody's
telling you,
thinking the
I
same
can feel
thing.
this. Yes, we did the same. We're doing the same thing. It's like I do not need anything,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
I'm focusing on the kids and not having to buy for the adults. I'm telling you, it's like a 50-pound weight has been lifted from my shoulder.
Yeah, and you know what? And if you do want to do a gift, there are many ways that you can give a gift that's not expensive. I actually received from my Secret Santa 2 days ago. She had gotten this beautiful light strand that has little clips. Each one is lit. I think maybe it was like $5. But then she had gone and gotten pictures of my children and printed them out. And it was a $5, $10 gift that was probably one of the most caring gifts I've ever received. And so, you know, you don't have to do gifts number one, but if you do, there are so many caring gifts that you can give that don't cost a lot of money. Vouchers for babysitting, vouchers to clean, your house, vouchers for, taking a nap. I remember when I was a little girl, I made my mom a voucher, that I would give her a 10-minute foot massage 2 times a week as her Christmas present. And she, one of her best presents ever. So there's no reason. And getting back to the holidays, it's really about spending time with others. And I find that sometimes people appreciate Thanksgiving more than we do these holidays. And the reason why people appreciate Thanksgiving more is that there's not the expectation of gifts. It's just food and family and being together. And I just have to say that's what's most important. And we just have to remember it for these holidays as well.
Yes, I could not agree with you more. And yes, I'm on the same page. So now, for people who do not have a retirement plan, this is an important topic for so many of us. For people that do not have that retirement plan with their job, what are ways that they can prepare for the future?
Yeah, it's really important to take ownership and agency over your retirement. If you don't have a retirement plan that you can put money into with your employer, then you need to start one yourself. And you can do so very easily. You can open up an IRA that you can do at Vanguard, Fidelity, all the great institutions. You can open that up very easily. And at the same time, you can also open a brokerage account. And that brokerage account, you can invest as much as you like. But one of the key pieces is to put money in on an ongoing basis,
And does it have to be the same amount, Stacy, or can it fluctuate?
So with IRAs, what a lot of people will do, or a brokerage account, you can have the same amount that is put into that account on a monthly basis that goes automatically from your checking account. So you don't even have to think about it. And so you can put in, let's say, $100 a month, and by the end of the year, you have $1,200 that went into your IRA. The goal is to put as much as you can, and the limits go up every year. It's a little over $5,000 that you can put in for this year. Over age 50, it's actually even more for that IRA. And with a taxable brokerage account, you can put absolutely anything in.
Oh, that's great to know. So what can women do to help navigate the stress and find relief points as they take on more fiscal responsibility? What's your advice on that?
So that's a big one. So many of us boy, we take on a lot. We take on a lot. And the biggest things I would say is to do what's called a financial date night. Financial date nights, you would be with your partner, or it's you, where you just go over your finances once a month. See where you are on track, maybe where you want to tighten up your spending, maybe where you are willing to spend more money. And so that's really important and key to make sure that you're staying on track, making sure is really important is to not have expectations of yourself that are really unrealistic. I feel like we judge ourselves that we should know all this information, that we should be investors like Warren Buffett, and realistically, that's just not the case. That's not the case. You know, for many of us, finances and investing is something that's new. And just like the first time you got behind the wheel of a car driving, it didn't feel comfortable for you. It's the same thing with this. And so each month when you're doing your financial date night of really seeing what your finances look like, read an article, read something that's going to help you feel more confident and gain that knowledge around your finances. And, you know, to be honest, ask for help. You don't have to do this on your own. And Savvy Ladies is a great resource. We connect women one-on-one with certified financial advisors, investing experts, credit, debt, you name it. We've got that expert, and they'll work one-on-one with you free of charge. And, you know, use that. You don't have to do this alone. And on the Savvy Ladies website, there are, you know, hundreds of TED Talk like videos of every financial topic you could imagine. In fact, you know, Beth and I actually did a wonderful workshop together, you know, talking about the importance of health and wealth. So use those resources. That's what we're here for. And same thing with Healthy Women. Great resources for women to use.
Financial resources. And what I loved and why I wanted you on our show today, this Instagram Live today, is because it doesn't matter whether you have, you know, a smaller bank account or a bigger bank account, right? I mean, you represent people right out of college. You know, I could call you and get, you know, kind of set up my financial plan for 2022, or just review what I have in place right now and get some feedback on whether I'm doing the right thing or if I need to tweak anything. And you help even doctors. Or it doesn't matter. The whole gamut.
Yeah. You know, I'm so committed that any woman who needs support, we are there for them. And we don't income test. So wherever you come in, whether you have a bank account or you don't, you know, and the genesis of Savvy Ladies was my grandmother, just one of the sweetest women who found herself trapped in an abusive marriage. And she ended up passing away because of the abuse. It was, you know, a god-awful experience to grow through, to see someone you love treated that way. And what I have to say, my eye-opening about how important it is for women to understand and have really be empowered around their finances was talking to her and hearing her share that the reason she stayed is she felt financially trapped. She felt financially trapped, and no woman deserves that. And that's actually why I started Savvy Ladies 20 years ago, because every woman deserves financial security. And we know that money isn't the most important thing in our life. We know that, but we do know that money is the tool that gives us options, that gives us opportunity, and quite frankly, safety, not only for our finances, but just for us in general.
No, I couldn't agree more. And how, you know, what a great story. So thank you for sharing that, Stacey. And thank you for starting such a great resource for so many women. So as you're listening, audience, I want to make sure that, you know, we think about wrapping up 2021 and heading into 2022, think about your finances, and we're providing some great resources and tools to help you stay positive, positive cash flow, positive investment for yourself and for your family by visiting Savvy Ladies and getting the tools and resources for free. So there's no excuse. So as we're wrapping up our great conversation today, I want to look at a couple things that we can just remind our audience. So assessing your current situation. So what do we need to do to make sure, like, to just begin this journey?
Yeah, you know, the first thing is just to know what you have. For a lot of us, you know, we don't necessarily know what we have, what's in our checking, what's in our brokerage, what's in our retirement. We may not know what we have outstanding in credit card debt or student loans. Know what you have, even if it's a little hard to do. And even more of us don't know really what we're spending. And I'm going to be 100% transparent and authentic. In early 2021, I ripped the Band-Aid, Beth, and I looked at all of our spending down to the penny. And it actually made me sick to my stomach, how much money we were spending. But it was so powerful for me to do, to figure out, okay, what can we do to reduce our spending, to save more, to put us in a better position. And while it was hard to do, and I used mint.com for, you know, and a lot of other great resources out there. But of 2021, it was the best thing I did for my finances, because it helped me make good decisions about where we should be spending our money, what adds to our life and really gives that value, and what doesn't, and I can guarantee that you're spending money on things that are not adding value to your life. We all are. I'm probably the biggest offender.
I feel like the calculus book, right? Or that shoebox where you just throw everything in and you don't want to look. So you're saying, take out the shoebox, look at your, you know, use mint.com as one of your tools, but really understand where you are right now, because you can take a look at it and only improve.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, for some people, they're not as great with online software. So that's okay. Savvy Ladies, if you go on to savvyladies.org, you'll see we have a great spreadsheet there too, right on the website, that you can use either in Excel or Word. So there, you know, any tool you need, it's there for you. It's there for you. It's just us, you know, getting that motivation to actually tackle it. And sometimes it can be hard to do. It can be, I'll be honest, a little scary.
Little scary. Just like that calculus book, right?
I know.
Scary. What about, you mentioned identify your relationship with money. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah. You know, I will tell you that I spend money when I am sad. I buy clothes when I feel not so great about myself. What do you do, right? And so think about when you spend money, particularly maybe on things that you don't quote unquote need, where's that coming from? You know, overspending on gifts. I do that because I want to show people I love them. So I overspend. And so just having awareness about your relationship with money. And one of the best ways to figure out more awareness is to go back. Think about how you were raised with your money, your mother, your father, a sister, a brother, another family member, a friend. Their relationship with money imprints on you. And so think about your first memories of money, how you think about money. Was it a way to show love? Was it something that was withheld for control? Was it something that was just very free? Or was it something that was scarce? All of these pieces shape who we are, and having a healthy relationship with money means that you understand the genesis of who you are, you recognize that, you embrace that, but then you decide, how do I want to be going forward? And so with me, not buying gifts for my brother and his family is a really uncomfortable place to be, but it's so good for me. It's so good for me to be able to embrace that and show them that I love them in a different way. Yeah.
Good advice. And asking for help.
So Savvy Ladies is there. I mean, please use Savvy Ladies. I think one of the biggest challenges that the myth that a lot of women have is that they feel that they have to have a lot of wealth to work with a financial advisor. And that's really not the case. You can go to napfa.org, N as in Nancy, APFA, napfa.org, and there's fee-only financial advisors that will work hourly. Another great resource for financial advisors is going to the Garrett Planning Network. They work hourly as well. So there's a financial advisor for everyone. It doesn't matter where you are. And then for Savvy Ladies, we've got, over 100 financial advisors that have decades and decades of experience dealing with every financial topic you can imagine. Even, I was working with one woman of understanding how to split Bitcoin accounts during divorce. Any question, we've gotten it, and we have an expert that can help you. So, be sure to use that person wherever you are in the spectrum of wealth. A financial advisor can help you. It's kind of like, it doesn't matter how healthy you are and how fit you are. Working with a trainer, going to the gym can just help you that much more.
That's so important. And it's, I'm going to pivot to the Healthy Women audience, right? Because Healthy Women is all about women 35 to 64. And for many of us during that our age and stage demographic, we're either, going through maybe just getting married, right? So thinking about and getting married at a little bit later in life. So 35. And for many of us, we're kind of near the top of our career ladder or moving up fast. So understanding, our financial health as we go into a marriage, or maybe we're ending a marriage, right? So going through a divorce and all of a sudden realizing, oh my goodness, I'm starting from ground zero again, or maybe living with a chronic condition and we need to kind of figure out the game plan, and that next chapter and living with something, that, is affecting our health besides financial stress. So, or caring for older aging relatives too. So there's just a lot of things that are coming on our plate right now. And it just sounds like working with Savvy Ladies, you've got resources and tools and people that can help us and hold our hand as we manage those transitions.
Yeah, we sure can. And, we're always open to having more volunteers with different unique areas of expertise. About a third of the women who come to us are contemplating or going through divorce. And so that is definitely one of those transition points where you're making decisions that are going to impact the rest of your life. And so having those resources is absolutely key. We have a lot of women who come to us that are thinking about retirement and not sure if they've planned, if they've done everything that they need to do and that they're on track. So very much. Yeah, very much.
So important. Let's talk about budget. So making a budget and following it. What do we need to think about when we approach the B word?
Yeah, and I feel like it is a B word because no one likes it. Like, who gets excited? And sometimes I don't call it, say, budget, because then you lose people. I call it cash flow, which sounds, a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
A little bit more like cocktail martini speak. But I think the budget, budget is like going to the gym, or our eating habits. If you restrict yourself and you decide you're never going to eat bread again, bless for those people who can do it, but for most people they can't. And so whether it's, your budget, or it's going to the gym, or it's, your eating habits, finding a budget that works for you, that allows you the indulgences and the pieces that give you joy, and, maybe paring back on others that don't. So for me, my gym membership, that is super important, and that's going to stay. However, my nails, I haven't been getting my nails done. And funny enough, for me, at least, I don't miss it. In fact, it saves me a lot of time to not have to do that. So, where a budget, it can be very stressful because, and where that stress comes from is that we hold ourselves to a standard that just isn't realistic with spending. And so finding that balance, having a healthy relationship with our budget, knowing that you're going to maybe overspend in certain areas, and that's okay because you've planned for that. And that hopefully other areas, maybe you have a little bit less spending.
So when you used, and I'm just going to pull in your personal experience, when you used the mint.com tool, you could see where your money was being spent. So do you recommend using that first and then helping plan out like your budget based on the feedback or what you're seeing?
Yeah.
Is that helpful to do that?
Yeah, I would say it's extremely helpful because if you create a budget and you don't know actually what your spending is, it's like trying to drive blindfold.
Right.
No one should do it. That's not safe. And for most of us, even if you think you know what you spend, you actually don't, because studies have shown is that we underestimate our spending, number one, and number two, we don't add in those one-time things that we forget about, the speeding ticket, the whatever.
Right.
So get a clear picture of like what your spending actually is, categorize it, and then take a look and really reflect on, as we go through this holiday season, what are the things that I really enjoy? Maybe it's going out to brunch with your girlfriends. Maybe that is really, and having that mimosa. And maybe it's making sure that you can go to the gym. But it might not be other things. So like, gosh, I was spending so much on bottled water. That sounds like something that's pretty small, but even one bottle a week, you're looking at like, $2. You add it up through the year. And, I added in all these things, whether it was not buying the bottled water, not going to get my nails done, not going to Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty easily, I was able to come up with $5,000 of increased savings. And $5,000 a year of increased savings, if you're young enough and you invest it, you're looking at $1 million portfolio when you're reaching age 65. So these small pieces compounded over time, while they may not feel like a big deal, they sure do. They sure do. And we as women have to plan smarter. We have to save more because our retirement is more expensive because of our medical costs.
Right.
And as you know, Beth, we live a lot longer. We live a lot longer.
Yeah, no, such great advice. And so my last question to you is, how young should we start teaching? Now I'm thinking I'm putting my mom hat on, and
yeah.
I just wish, I had some of this knowledge when I was just, still in college and coming out of college in regards to investing, because I just remember when I first started getting my paychecks, like I was just so happy that it was my own and I could do whatever I wanted with it. So how young is too young? When should we start thinking about trying to do some education with our children?
I'm well, my daughter, who is now 12, she's had her own Green Light. Green Light is like a credit card where her allowance goes, and she's had that for 4 years. She has a brokerage account that's beautifully diversified in different asset classes. And bless her, she just started in Bitcoin, financial advisor's daughter. But just sharing that any age, the younger, the better. And we've been so open and transparent with her about how much we spend, how much the apartment costs, how much mommy makes, how much we pay in taxes, how we invest, what charities are we going to invest in this year, and have her be part of it. And you don't have to be a financial advisor to guide your children. You can be learning along with them. In fact, if anything, that's such a great thing for you to do along with your children.
What a great way to wrap up our conversation. Stacy, thank you so much for taking time and offering such great and useful information as we wind down in 2021 and we kick off 2022, and hopefully people will do it a little bit more smarter and how they manage their finances. So I so enjoyed speaking with you and hope that we can continue our conversation on finance and health into the new year. Thank you again, Stacy, and wishing you and your family a very, very happy holiday.
Big hugs to everybody. Thank you for having me.
Take care.